Alright everybody, this video will describe how to use the Numbers app to kind of fill out this entire set of transactions over months so you don't have to do a whole lot of work. So what I'm going to do is just talk about this problem, then I'm going to jump over to Numbers and answer some questions. So to begin with, it says you've charged $1,200 on a credit card and there's a 12% APR, and it says here that's like a monthly periodic rate of 1%. That, don't confuse that with the previous video and the previous topic of daily periodic rate. Pretty much, if you are doing a question like number 11, the interest here will always be given to you, and in this case it's 1%. So what's happened is you've charged $1,200, but you can't afford that. You only are going to pay $75 each month. So we're going to devise like formulas to work through month after month how much you've paid, how much you owe, and how long it's going to take to pay this off. So you can see here we've started the first 2 months. Now I'm going to jump over to Numbers and walk you through how to set this up and continue this on. So here we go. Let me jump over, and you would start by just hitting plus or choose a new blank template, however you can do that. And here we go. So if you recall, this was all text. So up here we wrote after month, and then this was just 1 through 12. So take a moment to just type those in. And it could take longer than 12 months, but we're just going to put in 12 to start with. All right. Now if I go back up to the top, the columns, we had titles such as the following. So if you double click, that's how you could just type in there with text. We had UO. You had the 1% interest, not 12%, 1% interest. Then the next title was So You Now Owe. The next one we had was And You Pay. And the final one, I can't spell, And You Pay. And your final one was So You Now Owe. And again, you could really title these whatever you want, but that's how our example is set up. Now, something we talked about in class was there's the equal sign right here by the backspace button and cell over here on like the upper right of your keyboard. That's for putting in formulas. If you want to just put in a value, you could just type the number 1200. But something we talked about was that if you click on this paintbrush up here, the far upper right of your screen, I just touched it there, you see this word format. So yours might be defaulted to here. If you move over to format, we're going to pick currency, and it's going to make sure whatever I type here now is going to be in dollars. So we also talked about hitting the dollar sign and typing a number, but it's up to you. Whichever works easiest for you, you can do that. But now we're finally onto a formula. So we've put in a starting amount of $1,200. Now, to take 1% of something, you know how to do that mathematically. That's 0.01 times that. But what's nice about the Numbers features is that there's a percent button or command. So let's double click in this cell. Now, I'm going to click on the equal sign that you just saw me touch. Now that prompts you with all these commands. So equals is how you develop a formula. And what we're going to do is it's very intuitive. 1, there's a percent button, and I'm going to hit times. And now don't type 1200. Touch that cell. And the reason we're doing that is because when you've designed a formula, it will carry that work through for as long as you need it to. So again, if you just typed $12 here, the cell to the left, B2, you can see, if you just typed $12, that wouldn't have highlighted. Because it is highlighted blue, that means you've designed a formula that uses that cell to generate this $12. And that's the magic or the beauty of using these spreadsheets, is through formulas, not just typing numbers. Through formulas, you can make it do work into the future very quickly and efficiently, and saves you a ton of time. So on that note, it says right here, So You Now Owe. So basically, you owe $1,200 from your purchase. You're charged $12 interest. I know you know the answer is $12.12. But again, don't type that. We need to make a formula. And that formula, if we press the keyboard button, hit equals, again, you just touch the cell, 1200. I'm going to hit plus, and then $12. And by doing that, it will now carry that pattern on throughout. All right. The next one, and you pay, this is that minimum $75. So I just put that in. And now one more formula. We're going to hit equals. Now, when you pay something, you take it off your balance. So I'm going to click this 1212, hit minus in the toolbar that says FX, the one in the gray above your regular keyboard, and type 75. And there we go. Now, there's one other thing you got to do before we just do all the like fast forward work. You want to take this 1137 and start it over here, because that's what you technically owe now going into month 2. But don't type 1137 like you did 1200. All you have to do in this spot is hit equals again, but it's not a formula. You're just going to click on that cell. And what's cool about that is with 1137 and the next one and the next one and the next one, it will kind of pull that answer from the so you now owe column on the right. Now, why are we using spreadsheets? Because they are super shortcuts. So for instance, see how I touched 1137 and it lit up the other one. If I were to hit copy, so just touch it once, hit copy, and I'm going to go down to the 12th month right here and hit paste, you'll notice you have the option of paste values and paste formulas. Values would just give you numbers, but formulas carry the formula throughout. So what that means, if you watch, as I touch each of these, you can see another cell get highlighted. That means when those cells on the right actually have numbers in them, they're going to activate whatever's over there and put it there. All right. Now, another thing you could do to speed up things a little bit, you can copy more than one cell. So if you want to highlight all of these all have formulas going on in some way, except the $75. If you hit copy and you go all the way down to the 12th month and hit paste formulas, it has just done all the work for us. So that's why these are important, and it's important that you use the equal sign in the formulas and don't just type numbers. You just saved yourself tons of time. Now, to actually answer the questions from the quiz review, it did say, after 12 months, how much of your balance remains. So let's go back to that. It says, how much of your balance have you paid off after 12 months? Well, if we go to numbers now, we can see that 401 is what you now owe, and you originally owed 1200. So if we were to do 1200 minus 401, the amount of your balance that you have paid off is $799. Cool. Now, obviously, you're not done. You still owe $401. So how you can do this work a little quickly here, you don't have to keep filling in by hand what it says right here in the directions. Add more rows to your spreadsheet by highlighting just one of the rows and copying and pasting. So what's cool is that this spreadsheet knows that formulas are being involved. So if I just highlight this last row, just hit copy, you can highlight down as far as you want and hit paste formulas, and it's going to keep going. It's going to keep doing the work for you. So if that didn't work, you could keep copying and pasting more. Like if you only pasted one row and you were up to here, let's say, at 330, and you're like, oh man, I still didn't pay it off. Copy and paste another row, another row, another row, until you eventually figure that out. So I'm going to keep going here because we got to figure out what month this happened in. So that was the 13th, 14th, 15th, 16th, 17th, 18th. I think that was it. So it looks like in your 18th month of paying, you finally, it says negative, that just means you paid it off finally. So because you owed $39.27, you probably wouldn't have paid $75. You probably would have paid $39.27 that month and paid it off. But either way, it took 18 months, a year and a half. So if we go back here, keep going until you achieve a balance of 0. How many months did it take? It took 18 months. And now the very last question says, how much total interest did you end up paying? So let's go back here. We can figure this out. So you don't need the rows down here. We've already established what the 18th month is where it's at. So I'm just going to delete those. Now, everybody, if you want to find the total interest you paid, I would go to this 1% interest column, and we're basically going to add all those numbers up. And what's cool about numbers, one more time, I'm going to put text in here. I'm going to double click right here, and I'm going to put down, let's see if this lets me go to text. Nope, that's an E. Let me type a little thing. Oh, I'll type it here. What am I doing? All right, so if I type here, there we go, click ABC. Sorry. Your total interest you spent, and all you have to do, I'll just abbreviate it, is the following. I'm going to hit equals. Now, there are some things that have command names, like if I type the word sum, it knows I'm going to do a sum of a certain amount of things. If that is scary, you could literally just hit the following. You could just hit equals like we did, and just hit, $12 plus this one plus this one. You could just do it that way. But if you want to see one last cool shortcut, here we go. Type the word sum, and now we're going to, you can see the cursor kind of flashing by the word sum, starting on $12 and going all the way down to here. We should be able to figure that out. Oh, I have to highlight it a little differently. Give me a sec. So I'm going to type sum, click on sum, and then we're going to put from 12 all the way down. Oh, I went too far. Gotta slow down a little bit. Did I get them all? I did. Went a little farther, but that's okay. And there we go. So you just discovered that if you took the sum of all the numbers from the top row to the bottom, you've spent $114.27 in interest. If that sum command was a little weird, you could just add them individually. No big deal. So our final answer, $114. And what was our cents? 27? Yeah, 27 cents. So there you have it. That's a little run through of how you can use numbers to help you save some time on your work. And that is all.